In the Arabic language, Ibrahim ibn al-Sirri says that hardness, qasat, in the language of Arabic means they became congealed, they became thickened, they became hardened and dry and worn out. Hardness of the heart means that the tenderness and mercy and fear of Allah goes out of it. So the hard-hearted person and the harsh person are both harsh and unforgiving and wicked. Ibn Qutaybah has said, hardness of heart and harshness and blameworthiness are of all one category, meaning that it all stems from the dryness of the heart. Now, who was being indicated within this ayah? There are 2 points regarding it. One of those points is that all of the children of Israel were being indicated within that ayah. Secondly, the murderer is the one that was being referred to, as said by Ibn Abbas. Those who killed him, once the murderer was named, they said, by Allah, we didn't kill him, and their hearts became hard. As far as the kaf in dhalika, there are 3 things about it. Because when the expression kadhalika likewise is used, what is it referring to? There are 3 points. One is that it's referring to the resurrection of the dead. And this was a statement to all of the children of Israel as a warning. Secondly, it's referring to the words of the one who was killed, for he said them. And the words of the killed person, likewise Allah resurrects the dead, were said to the one that murdered him. The scholars of commentary have mentioned both of these statements. Thirdly is that it is said to whatever is understood of these ayat, in that Allah was referring, when he said likewise, it was referring to all of the signs that Allah had done, transforming some of them into apes and swine, raising the mountain over them, the water gushing forward, the resurrection of the person that had been killed. All of these things were referred to in and likewise, وَكَذَلِكَ. All of it was being referred to. So, because it was being referred to, all of those things were pending. Close quote. So, when it says, when Allah says in this ayah, كَذَلِكَ, likewise, meaning after all of that, after all the signs transforming you into apes and swines, sending forth the signs, the mountain being raised over you, you receiving the Torah tablets, the water gushing forward, the person that had been killed actually standing up and telling who killed him, all of these other things. Likewise, in spite of all of that, even after all of that, Allah shall resurrect the dead. So after all of that's been done, you've rejected all of those things. All of the signs have been given to you. All of the proofs have been given. All of the evidences have been established all around you. Indeed, Allah resurrects the dead. Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he then says, as for the statement, there are some, as for the statement of Allah the Exalted, Imam Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he says, quote, Allah the Exalted has said, and indeed there are some rocks in which rivers pour through them. Mujahid has said, every rock either has a river that gushes through it, it bursts forth and water comes forth, or it comes down and falls down from the top of a mountain, and that is from the fear of Allah. Allah the Exalted has said, أَفَتَطْمَعُونَ أَن يُؤْمِنُوا لَكُمْ وَقَدْ كَانَ فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُمْ يَسْمَعُونَ كَلَامَ اللَّهِ ثم يحرفونه من بعد ما عقلوه وهم يعلمون. Do you believe? Do you think that they shall believe you? And there was already a group of them that heard the speech of Allah. Then they corrupted it after they understood it and they knew. In this ayah, those being spoken to are of three groups. One is that it is talking about and talking to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically first, as stated by Ibn Abbas and Muqatil. Secondly is that the believers are being referred to as well, as if to say, do you think that they will accept and believe in your prophet? This was said by Abu Ali and Qatada. Thirdly is that it's talking to the Ansar, because when they became Muslim, they wanted for the Jews to embrace Islam due to the fact that some of them had kinship through being breast brothers and sisters to being milk brothers and sisters to one another, as mentioned by An-Naqash. Close quote. This is referring to the fact that sometimes if you have a child, you have two children that are fed, they're breastfed by the same mother, they become milk brother and sister. They become cousin brothers or what have you. This is referring to the fact that the Ansar, when they became Muslim, the helpers, they thought, we want the Jews to become Muslim because some of us have been fed by the same mother from one breast. So they were really taking that hadith very seriously of the Prophet ﷺ, that no one of you believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So they thought, we've become Muslim, let's let them become Muslim. And they were really upset when the children of Israel did not become Muslim in the same way they did. And so it's a very important thing that they were thinking, well, because we have this lineage, we want them to become Muslim. And there are some from amongst us that when you look out there, you see that there are some people that are unbelievers, but they work with you, they're at your workplace, they're at your job, and you say to yourself, this is such a nice person. This is such a nice person. He's such a nice person. He's such a nice guy. He's such a nice girl. Then why don't you do something about it? Like the Ansar did. You have to do something about it. You can't say, this is really a nice person. Then they die of cancer. And you say, subhanAllah. They were such a nice person. He was such a nice person. Yeah, he's dead now. So what are you going to do about it? If you think Amy or Wilma or Beatrice or Patricia, if you think that she's a nice person, you need to do something about it. If you think Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Pete, Benedictine, Herbert, whoever they are, if you think this person is a nice person, well then tell them, but also advise them. As Abu Dhar al-Ghifari radiallahu anhu was once advised by one of the companions, I see that you are a sensible man and a nice man, and I just don't want you to be fuel for the fire where you will receive a punishment that shall never end. So Abu Dhar al-Ghifari put his spear in the ground. He said, tell me more, and he sat down. Now we say, oh, we mustn't be too direct. We don't want to scare them. You think they don't know what's in the Qur'an? You think they don't know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised? We don't want to scare them. And scare them, there's people being shot in the face outside. The speech of Allah is just as potent. So we still have to say, well, this is the reality. Are you saying to me that if I reject Islam and I refuse to believe in Islam, that thus and so is going to happen to me? Yes, which is why I'm here talking to you. Oh, I'd rather go to hell than, but I know that. That's why I'm trying to. You see, you have to be upfront with people and fair with them without belittling their intelligence, because there are some people that have read the Qur'an cover to cover. So don't think, oh, this poor, deprived, stupid kafir, he just doesn't know. So once I present the truth to him, he'll fall on his knees, the roof will rip off of his house, And the light will come blasting into the house, and he raises his right index finger and light will shoot out of it, and he'll say the testimony of faith. It may not always be like that. It may be that you find someone that's an unbeliever that's angry with Allah because my grandmother died, or our marriage broke up, or our family was lost, or they have a lot of reasons why they reject the faith. But if you've been friends with them long enough, you have more of an option of speaking to them than someone who doesn't know at all. Do you really think, as the best friend or good friend of someone who's an unbeliever, that the man standing at the table with his carefully rubber-banded pamphlets on a Saturday afternoon as the sun is beating down and shimmering on his table from the sky, the wind blasting by his table, and him handing out pamphlets and shouting in the street like a hoodlum, you think this man has a better opportunity of speaking to your work colleague or your good friend than you? That's not true. So you must remember this is a very important point. Very, very important point. Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah then says, quote, the statement here, when it says, do you think that, the alif there is not one of a question. It is an alif that is being used to inform the person. Do you not know the case that? So it means that they do not believe. Don't you know that they won't believe? Don't you know that they will not believe? As far as they're hearing the speech of Allah, there are 2 points to be remembered about that. They read the Torah, then they corrupted it. And this is the statement of Mujahid as-Sudayhi, among others. And in their hearing the speech of Allah, their hearing of the speech of Allah was to proclaim the message of their prophet. And by their corrupting it, they corrupted what was in the message that they received. Secondly, that the 70 elders which Musa had chosen, they heard the speech of Allah at the base of the mountain. And when they went to their people, they said, he said to us such and such. And they changed it. Indeed, they were not able to. Indeed, if you are not able to leave what you have been forbidden, then do what you are able. This is the statement of Muqatil. The first position that we've mentioned is the most correct, in which they read the Torah, then corrupted it. Some of the people of knowledge, such as Muhammad ibn Ali at-Tirmidhi, reject the statement very strongly, and they say, this word, do you think they shall believe in you, and a group of them have heard the speech of Allah? It's referring to the speech of Musa alone. And if not, then how do we differentiate? These statements have been mentioned by Al-Kalbi, in which he is referred to by some as a liar in the chain of transmission. The meaning of, and they knew it, means they recognized that it was the speech of Allah. And just like it says, and they know, meaning that they know that they are corrupting it. And they know the punishment for their corrupting it, which is what both of these statements signify. Close quote. So what this means is that the children of Israel, they had the speech of Allah. It was sent to them. And then they corrupted it. The 70 elders corrupted it. They knew that they were corrupting it and knew the punishment. So it's not that they didn't know. They knew they were corrupting it and they knew what the punishment was. Important hadith from Sahih al-Jami' of Imam al-Suyuti rahimahullah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the children of Israel have corrupted, changed, and abandoned the Torah and put another book in its place. Famous hadith. That book is the Talmud. It is 66 volumes. If you speak the next time you get a chance when you're in Golders Green, or Stamford Hill, or Manchester in the UK, or northern Los Angeles, or the next time one of you is in the Lower East Side of New York, or Melbourne, Australia, or any of the main urban Jewish centers,